Mommy, have you seen my doll? I want my doll, Mommy.
Have you seen my doll, Mommy?
Hello, and welcome to Wicked Wednesdays. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you enjoy these stories. The woman in the house next door laughed too loudly. It was summer, and the heat was insufferable, twinged with a stickiness that clouded every room. Opening the windows allowed for a partial escape from the heat. However, the woman's laugh boomed and ricocheted around the house. Night after night she laughed and laughed, a hearty cackling that I grew to dread. One stuffy night, I could see her through my window, her mouth wide open, head tilted back. My house was cluttered with a variety of quaint little ornaments, gifts from people I rarely see anymore. I picked up one of my favorite pieces, a red and black Russian doll. Unraveling the doll until the smallest size, I waited and bid my time. The woman was laughing harder than ever before, hardly catching her breath, and her eyes seemed bulging, almost mad. How it sickened me to hear her. With one swift motion, I threw the doll, which landed neatly in her mouth. It slid down her throat, and almost immediately, the laughing stopped, replaced with a strangled gurgling. Clutching her neck, she fell to the floor, laying estranged on her side. I cannot express my happiness towards this cease of noise. I couldn't help a smile forming and a laugh escaping, a cackling that kept me up all night. "What does this one say?" Emma asked, pulling at my sleeve. I squinted down at the moss-covered lettering. I can't really tell, sweetie." This was her favorite thing to do, which might have alarmed me if she wasn't the sweetest kid ever. She would make her way through the rows of headstones, wondering about the people they belonged to, offering kind words or placing flowers in front of them. She especially liked talking to the children. Hearing her sing to them was beautiful, in the most chilling way. "Papa, come see this," she yelled, waving her hands. I trudged over to the collapsed headstone she was crouched beside. "This one is Rory's," she said, quite upset. Rory was one of the first ones she remembered. We visited him every time we came. "Poor Rory." I felt bad not knowing what to say to make her feel better. His stone had been in rough shape, and when it fell, it had broken into several pieces. Emma picked up a small piece of slate, shaking her head. "Don't worry, he's still going to be here when we come back," I told her. She took my hand, looking like she might cry. I did my best to get her mind on other things as we walked home. Eventually, I got her to crack a smile. At bedtime, I noticed something new on her nightstand, a tiny piece of slate. "Emma, you shouldn't have taken this." "But why?" she cried. "Sweetie, I know you think he's special, but he wouldn't want you to take this." "Yes, he would." I thought for a moment. "We'll take it back tomorrow." Although she wasn't satisfied, she stopped the meltdown she was building to. After I tucked her in, I told my wife about it. "You're making her take it back?" she asked, to my surprise. "Simone, isn't it bad luck or something? You don't think that's creepy as hell?" "Well, yeah, but you know how she is. She's been talking to that kid for a while now. If he can hear her, he must know that she only has the best intentions." I had just started dozing off when I heard whispering. It was faint, but I was definitely hearing someone. Panicked, I bolted to Emma's room. Her door was wide open, her bed empty. Simone came out of our bedroom, looking at me with glary eyes. "Emma's missing!" I screeched. Simone's face went white. "She left a note!" she gasped. Sure enough, scribbled on a sticky note was her message. Simone held it up with shaking hands. "Went with Rory." I barely had any breath left by the time I got to the cemetery gates. I tried to make out my daughter's figure in the darkness as I ran towards Rory's grave. I fell to my knees when I got close enough to see his plot. There was fresh dirt piled in front of Rory's collapsed headstone, the tiny piece of slate resting on top. The shop owner on Shadow Lane was a well-respected gentleman of his community. Children from all over the village would flock to Mr. Williams' doll shop. He was a warm, caring man who was generous to everyone who came into his shop. The parents and children loved him. His wife, also a pillar of the community, ran the pharmacy, and her homemade remedies and medicines were always a godsend to parents with a sickly child. But what the community did not know was Mr. Williams was a warlock, and his wife a witch. Not an evil witch or warlock, mind you, but still the community wouldn't understand. One day, Mr. Williams' wife was in the back of her pharmacy, preparing a batch of new medicine for the upcoming flu season. The back door of the store was cracked open, and a teenage girl named Billy Stewart was walking by. What she witnessed would change the course of this village for generations to come. Billy ran home and told her parents she saw the wife of Mr. Williams using witchcraft. They asked her what she saw. Billy told them she saw her brewing her medicine, but she wasn't holding anything. The items were floating around the room, and she was controlling everything by the movements of her hands. After this, Billy's parents took her to the town elders and told them what had happened. Soon after, Mr. Williams and his wife were arrested, but after a short investigation, Mr. Williams was released. There was no evidence of him doing any witchcraft, and he was a beloved member of the community. His wife, on the other hand, was not so fortunate. Mr. Williams begged and pleaded for the village to spare his wife, but his words fell on deaf ears. She was hanged and burned at the stake, and buried in an unmarked grave where even he couldn't find it. Mr. Williams ran back to his shop, threw open the door, slammed it shut, and began to cry uncontrollably. He grabbed his wife's picture and fell to his knees. As he looked up, he noticed a doll sitting on the shelf and vowed he would have his revenge. The once peaceful man, now filled with rage, began work on a new batch of beautiful porcelain dolls for the holiday season approaching. "I'll show them what true evil witchcraft looks like," he thought. The next few weeks he put on a smile as the parents came in and out of the store for Christmas presents for their children. By Christmas Eve, every one of his new porcelain dolls had been sold. On Christmas morning, as the parents awoke, screams could be heard throughout the village, in every living room, in every home. The children were found dead, and lying next to them, a blood-covered, smiling doll. The parents rushed to Mr. Williams' shop, but he had vanished, never to be heard from again. There's a monster in Mommy's belly. It grows bigger and bigger every day. I think if it gets much bigger, she'll just go pop like a balloon that someone put too much air in. She tells me that it's not a monster, that it's going to be a new little brother, that she won't pop like a balloon, but she'll go to the hospital one day and come back the next with a little baby. She says that Daddy helped put the baby into her belly so it will grow big like me. Sometimes, when she lays down, I can see it moving. She says that's what happens with all babies, and if Daddy and I are really lucky, maybe we could put our hands on her belly and feel his little feet kicking. Mommy says that I must be gentle when the new baby comes out of her belly, and not to touch him unless she or Daddy is with me. She says that a little baby is as fragile as the ornaments that we hang on the Christmas tree. I guess I have to be careful around him, or he will shatter into a billion little shiny pieces like the glass ball I dropped last year. And my hand would hurt, and I would cry and cry until Daddy gave me ice cream and snuggled me real tight. Mommy says it's my new little brother in her belly, but I know that it's really a scary monster. I know that when it comes out of Mommy's belly, it will have horns on its head and huge fangs and tentacles all over the place, and it will make loud noises and try to hurt me. I know that Mommy thinks it's just a fragile little glass ornament baby that Daddy helped her put there to grow, but Daddy told me that it's a monster. Daddy says he didn't put that monster in Mommy's belly, and I'd better be careful or it would gobble me up. Daddy says that he loves me very much, and he says that the monster is dangerous. He told me that I should take the sharp, pointy knife from the kitchen drawer, the one I was never supposed to touch. He told me just this time that it would be okay for me to touch it, and that I should take it and stick it into Mommy's belly to save us from the monster. I can see now that it isn't a technically monster after all, just a normal baby like my dolls. I think I like having a little brother. I just wish he wasn't all red. If he had to be a color other than brown and stuff like me, I think I would like a green baby more than the sticky, wet red one. Maybe when Mommy wakes up, I will tell her to make the next one green. Mommy, I want that one. Which one, Jenny? This one? Yes, Mommy, the sickly Suzy doll. What the hell is this thing? Her mother thought to herself. I don't know, honey. Are you sure you want this one? Yes, I want to take care of her and nurse her back to health. Sickly Suzy, the doll that gets sick with a new symptom every week. Perfect for the little nurse in your family, read the description on the box. Well, okay, sweetheart, let's go pay for it. Jenny got the doll home and opened her up right away. Her mother put in the batteries and programmed her. Jenny pressed the button, ready to hear what Suzy was sick with first. Oh, I don't feel well. My head feels warm and my throat hurts. Oh, Suzy, you have a fever. Don't worry, I'll make you feel better, Jenny said. She nursed Suzy the whole week back to health. Now it was time to see what the new ailment was. Ow, my arm hurts. I can't move it. Oh, Suzy, you have a broken arm. Don't worry, I'll make you feel better, said Jenny. She nursed her back to health like the week before. Jenny was loving her new doll very much. As the weeks passed, Jenny nursed Suzy back to health from every symptom that came up. Mommy, Mommy, I just found out what Suzy is sick with this week. What is it, Jenny? Suzy said she's hearing voices in her head. Voices? Are you sure that's what she said? Yes, Mommy. Go get her and bring her to me, Jenny. I want to hear exactly what she said. Jenny went to find Suzy, but came back to her mother empty-handed. Where's your doll, Jenny? I can't find her, Mommy. She isn't where I left her. The two searched every room, but Suzy wasn't there. When they came downstairs, Jenny's mother looked towards the kitchen and saw the doll. There she is, Jenny. They both walked towards the doll. Suzy was face down, mumbling something. Jenny's mother turned the doll over and pressed the button to see what the doll had said to her daughter. Oh, I'm not feeling well. The voices in my head are telling me to kill. Jenny's mother screamed, but before she could drop the doll, Suzy pulled from behind her back a knife and slashed the mother's throat. Later that night, when Jenny's father came home, he screamed out in terror at what he saw: the massacred bodies of his family lying on the kitchen floor. As he examined the bodies, he noticed tiny bloody footprints all over the kitchen, leading from the bodies out of the opened back door. Nobody will tell you how scary parenthood is. All your waking hours, you daydream about the worst that could happen to your kid. And when you sleep, sometimes you wake up with your heart pounding against a sweaty nightgown. And then they get sick. You might as well be sick too, because you feel whatever they feel. They're like a voodoo doll in beautiful clothes. It certainly won't feel like good times. But then they get well and start smiling again, and you'd almost swear that the sky is singing for you. I wish I could say that about my daughter. 5 days ago, she spiked a fever, the type that won't go away. Till the break of dawn, her dad and I took shifts, applying cold cloth, hoping her fever would break. But we knew what it was. Ever since she called us Mommy and Daddy, we knew that this was eventually going to happen. The episodes that only get worse as her petite body deteriorates before our eyes. It's hard to put it so bluntly, but it's true, and it hurts so much. Lily's body was dying, but her spirit wasn't. She'd often tell jokes when her dad was around. She wanted him to smile more. That's the type of girl she is, too pure for this world. But now it's time. Jim and I held hands at the foot of her bed, watching her slowly rising and slowly falling breath. He failed at hiding his tears, so did I. We didn't want our pain to burden her, but that's what parents are. They can't stop feeling. As if we were merely there to witness how indifferent this world is. I could almost hear my daughter whispering behind this bedridden skeleton of a girl, encased in shrunken skin, asking if it was Mommy and Daddy. Jim cried a yes, and it always breaks my heart to see him like this. I told her we weren't going anywhere. I told her that it was okay to leave. I told her that we'll eventually meet her again and have a new, happier life somewhere else. As tears silently dampened my cheeks, I told her she needn't act brave for her old folks. I knew she wouldn't last for long with such a weak host. She never did. I hate this doll. It's funny. I was raised to never say that word. Hate is too strong a word. You can dislike something, but don't ever have hate in your heart, my mother would say. But I really, really hate this doll. My grandmother brought it as a gift for my sister when she visited us from Mexico. It was blessed by a priest to ward off bad spirits, but I think it did the opposite. The first time I held it, I could feel its evil presence glaring back at me through those hideous glass eyes. The doll was barely bigger than my 2 hands, but I could feel the weight of an entire soul trapped inside the tiny body. I could feel it pushing outwards, wanting to escape. It was the scariest moment of my life, and I knew immediately that it meant to cause harm to this family. Every night, when my family is asleep, the doll is disposed of, but no matter the method, it always seems to find its way back. It was thrown into a dumpster and set on fire, but still the ash-covered body appeared on our doorstep. It was buried into a hole that took 4 hours to dig, and still it managed to escape. My sister found it in the back seat of my mother's car and hugged it as she pulled the blades of grass from its devilish black hair. When that didn't work, the doll was dismembered. Every limb from its body was broken off and thrown into different areas in the forest behind our house. The porcelain head was thrown like a baseball as far as it could possibly have been thrown. To no prevail. There it was the next morning, sitting in my sister's bed. You see, no matter how many times I'm tortured, no matter how many times that thing tries to get rid of me, I have to come back. I felt every ounce of pain inflicted upon me as I was thrown, burned, buried, and dismembered. But that won't stop me. I have to warn my family. I have to find a way to communicate with them. They need to know that is no longer their son sitting with them at the breakfast table. So I'll keep coming back however I can until I get out of this wretched body. I really hate this doll. Stacy opens the door. She has blonde hair tied up in pigtails today, big, bubbly eyes, and a face that is as round as a moon. She is as sweet as a honey bear, and is one of my favorite clients to sit for so many reasons. "Hi, Stacy," I exclaim. "Is your mom home?" "Nope," she says. I shrug. Perhaps they left a long time ago. I step into the house, following Stacy as she skips along the front hall, twirling and prancing like a little ballerina. "Let's play with dolls," she sings. The playroom is large and airy. Stacy motions me towards a comfortable corner and brings out the dolls. They look strangely lifelike. Everything is just so human about them, right down to the tattered pink clothes they are wearing, crusted with red, to their grotesque smiles twisted on their faces. There's even a stuffed heart buried in each of their chests, a heart that seems to quiver with life. But they're just dolls, right? Right? "Those are my new dolls," Stacy squeals happily. She gives me a demented grin. In her arms is a sewing basket. It contains sharp scissors, silver needles, black buttons, and spools of ruby red thread. "Do you like them? I got them this morning." Deft hands slide the thread in the needle. Little footsteps approach. She slides the needle in my skin. Blood trickles down my cheek. Up, down, up, down. The needle traces my jawline. Red thread stitching it shut. Then she starts on the eyes, stitching the eyeballs to the skin. Finally, she takes the scissors, carefully cuts down my chest, pulls out the quivering heart, the gasping lungs, the stomach, the intestines, replaces it with stuffing, including a stuffed heart. Then she stitches it shut with blood-red thread. My eyes burn with the pain. The world begins to swim. Now we can all play dolls together. Sure, I can write a story about a normal Joe living a normal life until he's murdered. I can fill it with as much gore as I like, enough so you can hear the blood gently seeping through the cracks of the wooden floor and feel the screams of his wife reverberating through you. I can write a story about a creepy doll you bought at a garage sale on a whim and took home. Maybe the doll keeps disappearing and reappearing somewhere else. Maybe the doll oozes a dark green liquid out of one eye, although it's filled only with stuffing. Maybe the longer you look at the doll, the more it looks like your true love, chained up in the basement. I can write all that, but you won't be scared. I mean, come on. You've probably read tons of these stories, guessing twists along the way and laughing at the corny ones. You know what the problem is? Those stories don't make you feel it. In order for me to scare you, I have to write a story that makes you feel the unease, the stillness in the air that is anything but normal. I have to write the type of story that has you wondering why your face can't keep your jaw up anymore, or where that itch on the back of your neck came from. I have to write the type of story that makes you turn around, even though you know there's nothing there. There can't be anything there. Right? Right? I have to write a story that makes you feel it. The little girl was crawling around, looking for her doll. A passerby managed to spot it underneath a bench. "Thank you," the girl said. "I'll have to punish this one for trying to get away." As the girl walks away, the doll rose its hand to the passerby, as if it was really trying to get away. You know, I love my Uncle Garrett. I swear I would never harm a hair on his head. Not that he used to have any hair anyway. He was always as bald as an egg. But he was so kind and so loving, and he used to say I was his favorite nephew, and I was. He used to have dolls, all over his house. Big dolls, small dolls, pretty dolls, ugly dolls. We would play with them. I don't like dolls, personally, but because I loved my Uncle Garrett, I kept quiet. And he would tell me, when I grow old, Ray, you would have my house. 'Cause I'm his favorite nephew, you see, and he would do anything for me. So the night he died, I moved in right away. My ma kicked me out, see, when I was a youngin'. Said I was too lazy for my own good. So it was just plain luck. My Uncle Garrett died. A heart attack, the doctor said. That's all, I swear. But the dolls, well, they were not so welcoming. They were everywhere, every nook and cranny, their hair spilling out from beneath the furniture and from the corners, staring at me with creepy glass eyes and crooked smiles. They knew secrets of this house, things I didn't. Then there's the whispers. They creep me out, I'll tell you. Murderer, thief, liar. But I'm no thief. I'm no murderer. I'm Uncle Garrett's favorite nephew. I loved my Uncle Garrett. I'm neither of those things, I swear. So anyways, I try to get rid of the dolls. Sell them. Throw them away. I always hated them anyways. Hated the texture of that plastic skin on my hands. But they always came back. Came back. More than before, staring at me with those creepy glass eyes and crooked smiles. No, I'm not mad. What I will say next is completely and utterly true. I actually saw them turn to each other and whisper behind their hands. It's true, it's true. I'm telling you the truth. Murderer, thief, liar. Why do they keep saying that? They're wrong. I'm telling you, utterly wrong. The doctor said it was a heart attack, nothing more. I loved my Uncle Garrett. I had nothing against him. I did not sit by and watch as he grasped his throat, his face turning all purple. There was no poison involved. It was a heart attack. Murderer, thief, liar. Murderer, thief, liar. Don't listen to them. I'm the human. Believe me.